So we hear this term a lot, develop a character. What does that mean? And how can a screenwriter work on their characters?
They do it by really understanding what the character's bleeding from. It's always about that. As I said, there's a great character in Breaking Bad that is Walter's nemesis. He's his brother-in-law, Hank. He's this blowhard, he's an alpha male, and he is Walter's opposite. He's his scourge. And the way we develop characters in a story is they all have to either be ripping at the wound of the hero or healing him. Which is it for each character? And you got to decide which side the character's on, and then you have to ask yourself, why is he a blowhard? In terms of this guy's character, in terms of Hank, why is he so interested in being a big deal? Well, his wound is that he doesn't matter, that he's not a parent. He's actually jealous of Walt's fact that Walt has a family. And so in his desire to dominate Walt, all of that is part of it. But you know, there's a huge element of simple arbitrary surprise involved in this. Vince Gilligan says he didn't know who he was going to have in his story when he did the pilot. He was going to kill off Jesse. He wasn't going to have Hank. When you see the story and you understand how great a character is, in commercial television especially, you can change it. You can say, oh, well, this is a guy who I really want to explore. This is a character I really want to develop because of the relationship he had with Walt. Works so well. Often, and this is why I sound like a broker, but television is such a cool medium, is that you can change a lot of stuff in TV. You can't really do it in the movies. You can do it to some extent, but in television, the pilot gets done, you look at it, you go, oh my God, look at that, look at this. This is a storyline. These two characters mesh in a way that I think we need to explore. Movies can only do that maybe once. You get it, you go, okay, geez, we can reshoot maybe. If we have enough money, we can reshoot once. But television gives you that capability to do week after week, even year after year. You can bring in new characters. So the development process in television is really almost, hey, I can put it up and see how it works. You know, in movies, people always think, they go to a movie, if you live out in Iowa, you go to the movie and you watch a movie and it's bad. And you say to yourself, Hollywood's so stupid. It's full of so many stupid people. Look at how crappy this movie is. I knew in 2 minutes this was a crappy movie. They must be complete idiots out there to put this stuff out. I'm going to go out there and make a bundle because look at this. Well, here's, of course, the truth. When they made the movie, when they shot the movie, when the movie was already on the cards and they saw it, they knew they had a crappy movie too. But it was too late to change. You'd already shot it. The budgets weren't going to allow you to reshoot it or change it, right? So it's very easy when you see a finished product to go, oh, that's crap. What only an idiot would have made that. But in television, you get the chance to see what you've done and go, oh, I can change it. We're going to shoot a whole new story next week. And, oh, Jesse, I love him. Let's put him in the show. Oh, Hank, he's a great character. Let's have him in there too. Gilligan will tell you, he didn't know 90% of where Walt was going to go when he first wrote this pilot. It is only by seeing it and then going, oh yeah, that's what we have, that he could develop all these characters. And that's part of what makes TV such a great medium too. You get do-overs. You get do-overs a lot of the time. And movies don't do that, although I think movies should do that. And we get called in as story doctors now sometimes because it's so much cheaper to shoot a movie than it used to be, that they're beginning to do the same thing. It's like, wow, we got all this in the can, but we could shoot again. We don't have any big stars. We could bring everybody back. The production costs aren't that high. That movies are becoming a little bit more like the TV development process because of that. because characters can change and we can do a reshoot, not for $10 million now, but for maybe $500,000. So let's change the movie up. So the two mediums are interestingly becoming more similar because of technology in a way. So that's a development question that really is driven by technology. Because I think I already answered how you develop a character in terms of his core wound. That's really always the place to start. But when you can see an actor inhabit the character, you really, and a particular actor, can change a character immensely. There's a movie called Heat, Michael Mann, and Heat is a movie, and the two protagonists are Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Now, someone made Heat before Heat. It was, I think, an English movie. Maybe it's wrong. But with two actors, and in this scene, it was the exact same scene that was shot. All the same words, all the same dialogue between, but instead of Pacino and De Niro, it was these two other actors. Now, if you go and look at those two scenes, both same dialogue, I think even similar camera angles, the one between the two actors I won't name is flat as a board. You're just like, okay. The one between Pacino and De Niro is electric. It's amazing. So never underestimate how you're gonna, the energy that actors bring to a scene is immense. And I think story snobs, and I can be one sometimes, think, well, it doesn't matter. You as the auteur, you create the whole story. If the story's in there, it doesn't matter. That's not true. So you develop a story based sometimes on specific actors, and specific actors can change your entire conception of your story once you see them do the scene. That Heat is a great example of how actors develop and bring an enormous energy to roles that two other actors would absolutely not be able to do. And there's a shot-by-shot remake, by the way, of a famous Hitchcock movie, Psycho. And the guy who remade it did it shot for shot, line by line. And it's very uncompelling. Very uncompelling. And part of it is because the actors, and also there's tiny little differences in timing, like ticking clocks and Good News, Bad News. Tiny little differences. Carrie is another example. De Palma did it, and then somebody else did it. And when you look at the two side by side, you'll see that the actors are different, and there's tiny little differences in ticking clock timings and sequences, but one falls completely flat.
Do you think that the timing has been sped up in recent films? Or is that just my own bias?
It's interesting. In the Carrie example, the timing is actually, there's the ticking clock time is actually lessened, but that actually makes it boring, more boring, because he doesn't draw out the tension. He doesn't really, and he's a great director and a great creator, but I'm just saying, in terms of developing the story and developing the characters, tiny little differences in timing and again, who's playing the part, make a huge, huge difference.
Right. I'm thinking of when Carrie would go back home.
Yeah.
And she would walk in the house, and there was this cloud that was looming over.
Yes.
And at first she wouldn't know what to expect, and so you would be in that moment of suspense waiting to see how is Mother going to react.
Yes, and Mother, I think played by Piper Laurie, she's amazing, right? And that's an actress who's sort of bringing that electricity to that role. So as a writer, we really want to leave that space in the development process for a particular actor to come in and see it, and you know, obviously this is true, but when you write with, I always say, hey, if you've got a particular actor in mind, write with that actor in mind if it energizes you, because actors can mesmerize and completely change the development of a character, their energy, what they bring to it.
Thinking of like a Melissa Leo or a Robin Wright.
Yeah.
They can really just come in and just, with their uncomfortable silences or looks or just body, you know, just something, and just really change it and make it from flat to three-dimensional?
Power of star is immense. It's misused in Hollywood because people say, hey, you know, I'll get so-and-so for the movie. The currency of development is, I've got Matthew McConaughey, therefore you're going to make $100 million. You don't even need to know the script, right? That's what sometimes they tell the money guys. Well, there's some truth to that. But Matthew McConaughey can also be really bad in a horrible story. But the reason stars are still the currency in Hollywood, although less than they used to be, is they really can bring an electricity to a part that you're simply not going to be able to have without them. So I always say, write with Matthew McConaughey in mind, or write with Woody Harrelson in mind, and that'll probably help you and inspire you in your story, even if you don't wind up getting them. They do bring an enormous power to a story. It's false for a writer to say, you know, I don't care who plays the part. This is about the story, not the star property. Managers and agents aren't idiots. So the fact that they're always talking in terms of stars is because stars really do matter. They can completely transform a project. I think the energy between Harrelson and McConaughey in True Detective was a big piece of why that show worked so well.